Good afternoon, everyone. It's a memorable day for me in the journey of ekincare because of two things today. One is, if you've seen the newspaper on your table, we got our first ad out today. We've been a company in working for 7 years now. This is the time when we said, let's go out and publish what we do best across 500 companies. So that's one great memorable day for me. Second thing that is the reason why this is memorable for me today is I'm sitting across a bunch of leaders who helped millions of employees and their families overcome the pandemic and the healthcare crisis. So kudos to all of you. So it feels proud to be part of you all. And the topic today is in terms of is well-being even a business moat, right? Can well-being be a business moat? How many of you believe it can be? Raise of hands. Okay, around 30% of you believe it can be a business moat. Anybody wants to give it a try why you don't think it's not a moat? Anybody who didn't raise hands? All right, we'll try and answer it at the end of this presentation. So we are in the business of well-being. So we are in the business of well-being of 2 million plus employees. We are in the business of well-being of 2 million employees and their families, which are, if I have to multiply by 4, that's roughly 8 million lives that we take care of, right? So we are in the business of taking care of these families' health through 500 plus corporations like yours. Now let's hop on to the memory lane. I mean, everybody, some of you raised hands, some of you did not, right? If you look at the history of well-being, right? So this is a simple data, right? If you look at the Google search data over a period of from 2004 to today, the number of people who started searching for well-being has constantly gone up. So today, because of the pandemic, because of the crisis, there's a lot more, I would say, thought process around well-being. Now, all of us have been talking about productivity since yesterday and even this morning, right? Now, if you map, one of the big outcomes of well-being is people say, okay, happy employees is higher productivity, right? Now, if you map this against the productivity data on a similar scale, right? The search for productivity has come down among HR fraternity compared to the search for well-being. So there is more and more emphasis across companies when it comes to well-being today than productivity, because happy employees would ultimately lead to higher productivity within the company. And there is an interesting research that we have done ourselves internally, right, across these 500 corporations. Companies who are spending on employees, if you actually map that against their CAGR in terms of their revenue growth, right, there's a phenomenal pattern in terms of which is directly proportional in terms of how fast they are growing when they're spending and thinking about employee well-being. And that's the data. And well-being, as you all know, could mean multiple things, right? I mean, if you look at your own companies, I mean, it could be a physical well-being, it could be a mental well-being, it could be a financial well-being, and a social well-being, right? And today, if you actually look at it from a mental and social well-being, I just want to share some stats, right? Again, some of the stats are from our own data of 2 million employees. I mean, I'm not here to sell ekincare, but all I'm here to tell you is why there is only 30% thinking, why not the 100% thinking about employee well-being, right? This is a study by Deloitte where they recently mapped in terms of the impact of mental well-being and social well-being in terms of the financial impact within the company. Companies are losing close to 1 lakh crores because of mental wellness issues within the companies. And how does it relate to is because of excessive leaves, right? Employees are taking more leaves, and more importantly, this is leading to employees leaving the jobs because of the stress and mental issues. Now, if you extrapolate that in terms of the data, right? So this is a simple graph if you actually look at it, right? There's 59% of these employees are suffering from depression. Now, this is further exacerbated if you actually look at it during the COVID, where there's multiple issues that are impacting the employees, whether it be relationship, whether it be workplace, financial stress, and all of that. So a lot of your employees are currently stressed, whether you know it or not, whether you want to believe it or not. A lot of your employees are highly stressed. Call it post-pandemic financial stress, call it depression, but a lot of your employees are suffering from stress, and I don't know if the 70% who did raise their hands are aware of this, right? Now, again, mental health as a topic is fairly new, right? It is hardly spoken about, and that is where, as leaders, there's something to do together, right? And I'll skip a couple of slides here. Every industry today is grappling with mental wellness. So this is a simple data, right? If you actually look at this data, this is a distribution of industries that we work with across these 500 plus companies, right? Plotting against a mental wellness queries that we get on a monthly basis. So if you look at it, IT, healthcare, finance, and textiles and accessories, I mean, quite a few, especially in the manufacturing segment, right? So there is a lot of issues across these industries, and it's growing. It's growing, and that is impacting your, I would say, top line. That is impacting your productivity. And top concerns, again, we plotted this against the top concerns that we were getting as a company, pre-COVID, during COVID, post-COVID, right? And if you look at it, psychological issues, anxiety, mood-related, I mean, these are some of the common questions that we keep getting from employees, right, when it comes to mental health. And let's talk about physical well-being, right? Historically, physical well-being, yesterday, today, when I spoke to some of the CHROs, right? Physical well-being, everybody thought as giving an annual health checkup. It is not. Physical well-being goes beyond giving an annual health checkup. That's just a benchmark, right? And today, if you actually look at it post-COVID, the panelist earlier said, now it's a distributed network, work from home is important. Now imagine your employees spread across multiple cities, imagine your employees spread across different tiers, having different benefits. How do you all grapple that in terms of providing a unified solution for all your employees from a physical well-being point of view? That is where you need the technology to play. That is where you need the power of the platform to come in. Wherein today we aggregate 10,000 plus service providers across 200 plus cities, where we are able to do everything from mental, physical, financial wellness across all the employees across pan-India. Now again, this is some more data. So for the folks who didn't raise hands earlier in terms of whether it could be a moat, again, this is a glaring example. 28% of employees are suffering from hypertension. This is from our own data of 2 million employees that we manage. And majority of them don't even know that they're suffering until they got their basic intervention done, which was again sponsored by the company thanks to 500 CHROs who believe in it. And 22% of employees are suffering from diabetes. Again, this is a silent killer. Majority of them don't even know that they have diabetes until we intervened. And cholesterol, which is again lead to heart diseases. I'll give you one simple example. There was one email that we got, I would say 4 months ago, from one of the employee who wrote to us saying, hey, thanks, because of your intervention, I found out about my cancer. And because of that, I'm now taking steps, and she's now become our biggest ambassador, where it's a phenomenal change in an individual employees. The reason why we started is we live and breathe by such interventions to be able to impact so many lives and to be able to help so many families survive. And if you look at this awareness, right, I mean, today this awareness is much higher in tier 1 cities. It's much lower in tier 2, tier 3 cities, where now your employees are now spread across tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 cities because of work from home. So how do you drive this awareness is through technology, through platform, right? And how do you drive the engagement? So one of the biggest problem statements that we heard when we started this company was, I love my employees, I want to give them the best. I have done multiple things in terms of providing benefits, but nobody uses it. So why do I care? The reason for that is they weren't aware of it. Now if I told you, hey, by the way, for lunch you need to go here, for beer you need to go there, for dinner you need to go to a different place, for breakfast you need to go to a different place. If I told you 4 or 5 different call to actions, you wouldn't know where to go tomorrow. If I told you, hey, for lunch, dinner, breakfast, you just need to come here, there's one call to action. Simple messaging. And that is what drives higher engagement. And that is what is driving the power of the platform, where all these 500 companies have chosen ekincare as a single solution to drive all their health benefits. And the adoption is off the charts. A simple example is, if you look at a recent client that we onboarded, Bangalore Airport, a CHRO, I mean, super happy because historically they've seen 30% adoption in terms of the benefits. We are sitting at 95% adoption. I mean, anybody, if you know Bangalore Airport CHRO, please call them up. They will vouch for it. The reason is one call to action, one platform, one single source of truth. And that is where a lot of leaders are losing the motivation because they don't see the outcomes. And if you actually look at it, for us to drive these outcomes, there's 15 different technology interventions that we do, and that's what is driving the adoption, that's what is driving the engagement. Most of these 500 corporations implemented ekincare to help employees. Now they're happy to come back to us and say, by the way, we didn't realize this is also driving our engagement. So it's like shooting 2 birds with 1 stone, wherein A, it's helping them save I care, 2, it is driving the company-wide engagement as well. And today we work with multiple players. It's a platform, it's multiple services integrated. You think of a health benefit, we have it. You think of a policy, how you want to structure your health benefits, we have it, right? That's the power of platform. We can customize. Today, if I see around this room, there's probably 40, 50 CHROs. I can customize 50 different benefits for each one of you to fit your own cultural DNA. That's how customizable this is. And when you customize it as per your DNA, the outcomes are always much better than trying to mimic some other company's benefits. And let's talk about financial well-being. So, I mean, if there's no financial well-being, of course there is stress. And if there is stress, of course it impacts health, which is the reason why we also started financial well-being as a solution on the platform. And that is where, if you look at it, there's 7,000 crores loans disbursed to employees, payday loans disbursed. And where do you see these gaps? During emergencies, right? Employees, I mean, you've seen this during COVID, right? Remdesivir injections or buying medicines in the black, right? There is so much financial stress, unknown, I would say, expenses that come in, especially in health, right? That kick in when employees go through emergencies, right? And today, I'm sure all of you are providing health insurance, but those stop at a 3 or a 4 lakh. And any major intervention that you see, right? Let's say a simple heart surgery would easily run about 3 lakh. Now, where is the employee going to get the remaining 4 or 5 lakh that they have to pay out of pocket? Don't know. They have to go for payday loans, they have to go to loan sharks, and that is again stress that impacts the employees. And if you look at India, so I've been in the US prior to ekincare, right, where it's all sponsored by insurance. Here in India, 65% of healthcare spend is out of pocket. And a lot of people move into poverty or move into I would say hand to mouth kind of a situation from salary to salary because of these healthcare issues or a healthcare emergency which they haven't planned for. And that is where today one of the, if you look at healthcare, right, it has to be accessible and it has to be affordable. Now, how do we make it affordable? Great 500 plus CHROs have decided that they will sponsor for some of this health. Now there is, and then they said anything above and beyond, employees can pay out of their pocket through supplementary insurance, through, I would say, early wage access, through, I would say, loans, healthcare loans. Again, all of this is structured on the platform. A simple example, right? Fertility treatments are not covered. 95% of the policies I've seen, fertility treatments are not covered by health insurance policies. Today, 1 in 6 corporate employees is suffering from fertility issues. Average sitting for a fertility treatment goes up to 2 lakhs rupees. Can employees afford it? Some yes, majority no. Where do they get this from? Through healthcare financing. And that is where we as ekincare are looking to map the entire healthcare journey, whether it be social, whether it be mental, whether it be physical, whether it be financial, so that your employees have the peace of mind to focus on the productivity, which in turn drives your top line. And this is just a start. So we have structured multiple benefits on the platform. We work with the best of the best across the industry, and we are growing, right? And now let's, if you look at these, if you have used a beverage, if you bought a shoes, if you have traveled here through airlines, right? Or let's say you got ordered from convenience point of view, right? We have touched every employee across these industries. And one thing that is common across all of these patterns is ekincare. It feels immense joy for us to be able to manage the lives of these employees who in return are driving all the touch points that you are using. And that is where we feel joy, right? We feel joy that when we actually make an impact in the life of one employee, it impacts 3 other dependents, right? And that's ekincare. Any questions? On time.
Why are we talking about financial planning in a bigger way? Then why do we go for early pay access? I think early pay access again is going to make people dependent on their salary, and it is not helping them go for financial planning.
So financial planning is a good awareness tool in terms of how to spend, right? But we cannot prevent in terms of when they need that emergency money. When they need that emergency money, it's just like an insurance, right? And early wage access, if you actually look at it, there is a limit that we underwrite based on the salary. So we don't ensure if somebody is getting, let's say, I'm just giving an example, right? If somebody is getting 100 rupees, right? We don't give a 100 rupee loan. We give a 10 rupee loan because we know that is safe for the employee to pay through the year, and it is not a big burden. So before we actually issue the loan, we do the concierge, we do the awareness in terms of how this will impact, and more importantly, we ensure that they take what they can actually support, then just as a loan shark, just give a large sum. Yes, sir.
Just one quick question. I wanted to understand how are you competitive with something like a Kenco or something? There is this new platform which we are looking at. This is one. And second thing, quickly, if you can also help me. See, what is happening is that for most of the expense honestly adds to my wage bill. Okay, while in the interest of employee well-being, that is fine. Every year it goes on growing. And if I take care of their parents, because that is the highest cost in my premium, okay, I'm happy to do that. But when we go to the employee for a top up, there are very few responses you get. So what I wanted to ask you is, can ekincare not think of a policy which is a retail policy which tops up all the corporates, irrespective of whichever I may choose as a CHRO, but there is something in retail available over and above that, and it's not binding for me to be linked to an organization for a top up.
Good question. So one is, how are we different from the competition, right? Today, one of the main things, in fact, I was talking to one of the MD who was here, right? One of the large banks MD. The key thing here is today, you guys, I mean, all of you leaders are spending when it comes to well-being or employee health, right? But every year you wake up like under a new rock where you don't know where you spent, what is the ROI, what is the outcome, do I need to ramp it up, do I need to reduce it, where do I divert these funds in terms of who is my 20% high risk population where I need to do a lot more than giving, equally distributing across employees, right? That is only possible when you have all the data coming together on one platform, and when you are actually able to structure this data to be able to understand the insights from that data. So we have a patent in terms of, so before we started ekincare, the first problems we solved for is data structuring, right? So when you see all these services on the platform, right, all that data comes back into ekincare. We crunch that data, give you a uniform view in terms of irrespective of where they're going, to be able to tell you where the risk is and how to go about that risk, which gives you a better strategy. So what cannot be measured cannot be improved. I'm sure everybody here agrees, right? Now the platforms are doing their own way, but what they're missing out is they're doing it in silos, right? Today, like the earlier example, right? If you have multiple call to actions, you go to Kenko for this one, but more importantly, Kenko would give you a solution for annual health checkup, which they pass it on to some other provider, and that provider data is lost with that provider, is not coming back into the solution. Then next year again, you'll start from ground zero. It's as good as going to a broker, right? Which over years hasn't worked for you, right? In terms of improving employee health. The second question, in terms of retail, top up over retail policies. So one, yeah, suggestion, and thank you. This was suggested by multiple leaders, right? As we work with multiple companies. Today, we negotiate as a block of 2 million employees. So that is the power that we have built, right? When we go to an insurance company, when we go to a service provider, when we go to a partner. Today, we have a top-up that we can distribute across all the companies. The benefit of that top-up is it's cheaper than what you would get in retail. And the benefit of that top-up for the employee is they can buy it through the year. There's no window period. And the benefit of that top-up is even if they move from one company to another company, as long as they buy another base policy, the top-up continues. So these are the collaborations that we have done, along with parental top-ups. Collaborations that we have done with insurance companies because we have the data, we have the behavioral information, and we know the insurance companies are happy to underwrite when they know what they're getting into.